Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 24th SF Indie Fest. I'm so excited to be here today, joined by our filmmakers of our Drawing Strength animated film program. Thank you all and welcome. This is a program that our amazing audience just got to experience through our virtual cinema. So thank you all for being here for our Q&A. Just to kick things off, we'll go ahead and talk about, just introduce your films and kind of talk about the genesis of how you came to this story. And we'll start off with Cinzia and Flavio to discuss your film.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. So our film is Mila. I'm the director, Flavio is the composer. I came up with the idea 10 years ago, and it's inspired by my mom's experience as a girl, a little girl, 5-year-old during World War II. I started with a very small group of friends and colleagues, and Flavio was one of the first one that came on board way back, how many years ago? 10 at this point, Flavio, I think.
Yeah.
With a great music that is really the heart and soul of the project. The incredible thing about this project, and we can talk about that maybe a little bit later, is that from a small group of people, it kind of got a life of its own. And after a few years, we got to 350 artists that volunteered from 35 countries. And that's how we got it made. The last year, we were very lucky to have Cinesite come on board. It's a big studio, VFX animation company that came on board to help us bring it to the finish line.
Thank you so much. And I believe there's some more accolades coming in for your film. Do you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, Flavio is nominated for the Annie Awards. So we'll see how that goes. It's coming up soon. And we have many awards we won this last year. It's been super exciting. And Flavio, you want to say something about the experience of composing for Mila while we're here?
Yeah, it was exciting, of course, and very weird because I didn't compose in traditional way. Cinzia said it takes almost 10 years to build the entire short, but because it was very hard to put all the resources together. I think music is a little part compared to the huge work that the artist made. Because renderings, texturing, lighting, it cannot be done by one person. Instead, music, it's just me. So to me, it was the easiest part. By the way, I think that I was very inspired by the storytelling and by the contribute that every artist, all the 350 artists gave to Mila. So this nomination to me, it's not just Flavio nomination, it's all together nomination.
Thank you. He's very modest, very modest.
Speaking of collaborations, we are joined by Takashi and Yokoto with their film Manga Girls. Takashi, do you want to speak about the film? And then Yokoto, you can talk about your experience and how you came onto it.
Okay. Takashi-san, 大丈夫ですか?
大丈夫です。I can't speak English. ありとう。サポートマコと。
Okay, yeah, I can support him. なんか漫画ガールズの紹介と自己紹介はできますか？軽く。
I'm directors 漫画ガールズ。紹介なんですかね。漫画、日本の漫画とアニメと実写を合わせた、すごいちょっと、なんていうんですか、自分としてはチャレンジした作品です。
He said, this animation is a collaboration of Japanese manga and animation, and also real life action. So these combinations were a very big challenge for me.
Wonderful. And Yokota, were you always attached to act in the film? How did your collaboration come about?
So originally, I have a really close actress friend. Her name is Fujiwara Nozomi, and we were really close. And the director, Takashi director, knew about our relationship, so he wanted to, you know, make something using the two of us. So I knew that I was going to be playing with my very close friend, but I had no idea what he was planning to make. And so when the first time we did this Zoom meeting, and we read the book together, it was something totally, because I am usually a live action actress usually, so I had no idea how I was going to do this role. And we talked over the script over and over on Zoom, and how we were going to make this main character. So yes, it was it was also very challenging for me to play this role.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Claire, your film is a great example of the impact of the kind of hybrid of like animation and documentation of you know, issues of incarceration in our country. Can you speak to kind of the genesis of your film and how it came together?
Sure. Basically, it was August 2019, and I happened to be reading an article in the Washington Post, and it was a charity called Free Minds Book Club that were working with young incarcerated prisoners in America and sort of giving them the gift of poetry to rewrite their own futures, basically rewrite a chapter of their lives. And it had this really high success rate of this program with the poems. It's like 85% didn't reoffend from doing this. And then I sort of read more into the article, and then I looked at their website, and on their website they had all the poems, and I just started reading the poems, and there's hundreds of them. And then I realized every night I was going home, I was opening that website and I was reading more of the poems. I just couldn't put them down, and I just thought, oh, I have to get in touch with them. I'm an art director by trade on major motion pictures, and I thought, oh, I feel I could do something with these. And I got in touch, and through them reached out to some of the poets who agreed to let us use their words. And then I reached out to Letitia Wright, who I don't know any of the actors personally, but through work was able to get in touch, and she loved it, and she came on board and she produced it, and we sort of went from there.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful kind of example of different folks coming together, especially like to use their names and their celebrity to help highlight such an important issue. Thank you so much. And Ahu, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to speak a little bit about Little Atom Example?
Yeah, of course. Actually, I'm originally from Iran, and I'm a child of war myself. I grew up during the war between Iran and Iraq. So at the time, a few years ago, there was lots of killing and bombing and whatever in Syria, Iraq, and that places in the world. And this image came into my mind. I'm also a poet, so it was basically a poem. Came to my mind that what if a child born with hands turn into arms, and because of the situation. So basically this is a dedication or sort of bring the attention to this issue. So my friend Ramin Parvin, who lives in Berlin, he started to make the puppets and sets and everything, and he put everything together and sent it to me to US, and I started with a very little things that I had. But I was so lucky. It took me too long to finish the project because I was basically doing most of the thing myself. But I was so lucky that I met my sound designer, Hossein Mahdavi, and also the composer, Fouad Bahramani. And then, yeah, they finished the project, and it was shown in a couple of the festivals like 24th ARPA Film Animation in Los Angeles and Chicago, Blob Art House Film Fest, and I'm so honored to also have it on San Francisco International Film Festival. So yeah.
Yes, we're so glad to have you at SF Indie. Thank you all. I think one thing that's really special about animation is it's a different way, not only a different way of working, but also it allows different opportunities. For a lot of your films, they're very big stories or stories that you wouldn't necessarily have the same access to. But however, through the medium of animation, you can tell these very big stories, these very personal stories, these stories of folks who aren't often highlighted within traditional media as we see it. So I was wondering if you could talk about kind of why your film was uniquely suited for animation and that you chose to go that route, and what it meant to you about using the medium of animation to tell your stories. And we'll start back up from the top with Jinzia.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe that the animation has been boxed into having to deal with just young subjects for too long. And it's a great moment now because there are so many incredible films, not just the indie, but also feature films and TV series that are being produced to talk about more, you know, not important, but like more difficult themes that are so great to bring to young minds, you know, and young kids. So when more than 10 years ago, it was a different climate, you know, was I always worked in big studios. So I first pitched Mila to, you know, big studios in LA. And of course, the reaction was, I mean, a lot of, you know, respect and everything. But in terms of producing something that was talking about war with animation, there was like, it was a big no. So that's why I went completely independent and took that route because it was the only way I could do it. But you know, I think bringing a story like Mila and like some of the stories here, they're like a very strong theme through animation. It's a really poetic and very effective way to get to the heart of the audience very quickly. You know, animation has no boundaries. Your own creativity is the only limit, really, and you can really portray situations and convey themes in a way that only animation can do. So I love this medium.
Thank you so much. And Flavio, was the experience of composing for animation a new experience for you? Was it something that changed the way that you approach your work?
No, it was. I worked on a small series. Well, it was news about this theme, this topic. The war is so serious. There are so different moments. There is a moment of fear, moment of joy, moment of sadness. So I faced each one of these moments, and this was challenging, but I was literally passionate with that. So at the end, it was no hard. I think it's never hard when you do something that you love. So the approach was very easy and intense at the same time. but I think the most satisfying moment to me was when we had the chance to record with the Haydn Orchestra in Trento, in the north of Italy. It was a very nice experience. I never expected that they would contribute for free. You know, orchestras are very expensive, so to get an so huge support, it was unexpected, and I was very impressed with that, and it was the best moment of my life. I think I think for every composer there's no better moment than to see what you compose to be played by the orchestra. So that was a very great experience.
Thank you so much. Yokoto, could you help us translate
Sure.
with Takashi? You know, Manga Girls is reflexive of the fact that it is animation of animation. It calls back to a older form of filmmaking. Could you ask Takashi if animation is the medium that he tends to work in, or was this new for him?
Alright. たかしさんにとってそのアニメーションとか漫画を使ったっていうのはこう特別なのか、普段からそういうことをやってるのか、あと多分なんで漫画を使ってこの作品を撮ったのかを多分聞きたいんだと思います。
なるほど。そうですね。まず一つとして、僕はアニメーターではなく俳優だっていうところです。で、漫画を使ったのは、自分が漫画小さい時からずっと好きだったっていうところと、まあアニメーションは、なんか、チャレンジしてみたかったっていうところですかね。なんか、これで2本目ですけど、漫画ガールズで。まあ、1回目チャレンジして、なんか、もうちょっと頑張れば面白そうなんできそうだなと思ったんで、2回目漫画ガールズを作った感じですかね。どうでしょうか。
はい。
ありがとうございます。
はい。So, first of all, I am not an animator. I'm usually an actor in Japan, and I love manga since I was very small. Well, in Japan, a lot of people grow up with manga, and also he wanted to try and challenge the animation part. And this is his second time making an animation. So the first time he thought that maybe he could make, if he tried to make another one, it could get more interesting and more fun. So that's why he challenged to make Manga Girls this time.
Wonderful, thank you. And for you, you spoke earlier about the new challenge of being an actress in a different medium.
Mm-hmm.
What did that challenge teach you about yourself as a performer? It makes you think more about your voice than your
Mm-hmm.
physical acting, or how is that for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I felt like it was a totally different world from what I live through in daily life. Like the director always wanted me to do to talk very quickly, and also with a lot of ups and downs, and very, like sounds that I never make in real life. And yeah, everything was very fast, and it had to be energetic, but also like very otaku. Like it had to be like very otaku, and it was very difficult to find an otaku part of me, and try to put that into the character. So yeah, I had to do a lot of research and see what I can get from other animation. And yes, that's how I made up my character.
Thank you. Claire, I feel that your film is very expressionistic in its approach. Can you speak to why you decided that animation was the medium for you, and kind of your approach to the project visually?
Sure. I mean, I think with my background being art direction, and that's where I spend most of my day on the computer, drawing sets or doing set extensions in Maya and stuff. So I'm very familiar with all the software. And I think it came from actually when I was reading the poems at night, I was kind of dreaming about them. And my dreams were so a bit expressionistic. I knew that was kind of the only way that I could do it was with animation. There was no way I could film what I could see, how I could see the words, if you like.
Thank you so much. And who I think like Cinzia's film, addressing issues of war and kind of extreme things, especially for you, something that you have lived through in your own life. Can you speak to like why animation was the best medium for you? I think we've definitely seen this in other films, like Waltz with Bashir is really one that comes to mind, that uses animation as this kind of imprinting in a way that is much less accessible through other forms of filmmaking.
Sure. First of all, I want to say because I'm not good in drawing, and I have a background of photography. That's why I thought, okay, I'm gonna go with the stop motion animation. But I started, then I realized how hard it is. But at the same time, I really working with a stop motion animation, because you at the same time it's imagination, but at the same time you are touching real stuff in the real world. So there is a connection between the imagination and reality in the stop motion animation itself, and also the connection that I found that it's really fit to my story, because it's like sort of magical realism, or bring the imagination into reality. Basically, it's the theme of the story. So yeah, I think animation itself is really good tool, and to touch the audience heart. And also stop motion animation is hard, but it's also help with that. So I think I end up with doing the stop motion animation. If I knew how hard it is, I'm not sure if I ever, but at the end, I'm so happy that, yeah, I think animation is a great way to tell a story. Yes.
Well, that's all the time we have today for our Q&A. I thank you all so much for participating in the festival and allowing us to share your stories, and coming out here today to see our lovely audience and help them kind of decompress after their awesome film viewing. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you all the Kali, and their work.
Thank you.
Was great.
Yes, I loved all your films, by the way. So
yeah, I love all your films. Yeah.
Love your films. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.